And we're back with episode 93 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm your host, Andy, and I'm a real port raiser. I like wine.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can get behind that. And I'm Mike Coyle. And Andy, do you know why lightning mages always end up joining the Prismari school on Strixhaven?
I don't.
It's because they make good conductors.
Please listen carefully.
See, I was going to talk about that today, too. I was really going. I was band kid, and I didn't realize Prismari was band kids because they said theater.
Yeah.
They did say creatives, but I'm a Prismari person now, so that's where we are.
Did you know that they also get backup training in railroads?
No.
The other place where you can be a good conductor?
Toot toot.
That was a train of jokes.
It was.
That was the caboose. We're at the end. You're welcome.
And this is the show where we talk about all things Magic the Gathering.
But mostly Commander.
So we have a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, because we didn't get to do it with the last set, we have a Blogatog post about Strixhaven, and we're gonna make some guesses here, or speculate wildly.
I like wild speculation.
Yes. So this is another set of teasers that give tiny hints of things to come. So let's start out with a couple of things that we are going to see on Strixhaven, which I believe all the previews start this Thursday. So this episode will be out before that happens. So the first one is a white card with the rules text, draw 3 cards.
That's needed.
I like it.
I just hope that it's not like
whenever someone attacks you with 6 or more creatures, draw 3 cards.
Or it's like an opponent gets to draw 3 cards or something.
Or if it's like whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, like Battalion for 3. I mean, I would like there to not have to be such. I don't want combat related restriction with it. So we'll see. That's the only thing I don't want is combat related restrictions.
Yeah. I bet it's a combat related restriction.
And there's a whole thing about red white here. So
yeah, there is.
It's we'll see.
Okay, how about a Planeswalker but not as you know them?
So this one we know.
Yeah, we know this one.
This one this we know.
These is what we know.
So this came out actually today. So there were some previews early, and this is Professor Onyx, which has Planeswalker. It's Liliana.
It is a legendary Planeswalker Liliana permanent type.
It is. So we are I guess we are going to see her do something different, but I thought after the last novel she went what plane? I thought it was Cat.
It was the one that Kaya was from. So it's whatever is the conspiracy plane.
Paleano? I think that's what it sounds right. Don't quote me.
But again, this doesn't have to be the plane that she's on. I mean, she planeswalks. She planeswalks somewhere else.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We actually saw a Liliana and a Kasmina.
Yeah, today. Actually, when I read that Morrow spoiler thing and I saw a Kasmina, I was like, oh, a planeswalker the way we haven't seen her before. We only saw Kasmina as blue, and I thought that's what it meant. And I was like, oh no, much more literal.
Yeah. All right, so the next on the list here is a card featuring Paulo Vitor Damarosa's likeness for winning the World Championship. So I think the last card we saw with this was Fervent Champion from Throne of Eldraine that had likeness. So curious to see what that looks like.
A spell with 3 X's in its mana cost.
That's an expensive spell.
Yeah, I don't love it. The only one I can think of off the top of my head that has this is Astral Cornucopia.
And that's hard to make work, but if you're playing a deck that can go infinite, I guess cool.
Yeah, or like if you're playing a proliferate deck or something like that, Astral Cornucopia works. If it's
a permanent,
yeah,
I guess.
That's what the thing, like triple X is going to be too expensive unless you can exploit it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it might have, or for an alternate cost perhaps.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So we'll see. Introduction of a new evergreen keyword.
This one we actually already know as well.
Yeah.
So this is on the new Liliana Planeswalker, Professor Onyx. It's called Magecraft. Magecraft says whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. And I assume it's going to be like Metalcraft where you have to have at least 3 wizards.
Wait, I don't think that's evergreen though.
You don't think that's considered evergreen?
No, evergreen means it can go in any set, including core sets.
Oh,
That's like flying, trample, haste. I think Magecraft is going to be a specific mechanic to the set.
oh.
Evergreen are the real common ones.
So have we seen the Evergreen one already?
I'm not 100% sure that it is known, but I've seen folks tweeting out different words, but I don't have any of them in front of me right now. But I don't think it's Magecraft.
Oh, okay.
I think that's going to be a set. I think that's going to be specific to this, and maybe later it's just specific to wizards.
Okay.
Or I guess mages in general. So we'll see. The next one is a red sorcery that you can have as many copies in your deck as you want.
Yeah, this seems really fun. I hope it doesn't cost more than 3 mana, but I bet it will. Because I think this is cooler than like Shadowborn Apostle or Relentless Rats or anything like that. A non-permanent type as the card that you can put 45 copies of in your deck.
It'll probably to make sure it's not broken. I would assume it's probably higher costed, but who knows?
I think it probably will be.
Who knows?
Okay, how about this? A future shifted card appearing for the first time in a premier set other than Future Sight.
So the future shifted are the ones that I assume it's related, perhaps even a mechanic that was new in the future shifted card that we are going to see a mechanic turn into.
Yeah, very much.
Or turn into a full mechanic, full-blown mechanic.
Yeah, and if you didn't know, Future Sight was practicing some mechanics that they weren't sure if they were going to implement later, or they knew they were going to implement later. So definitely a possibility.
One of them I used to run in Noyandar, and I can't remember now, but I don't think it'll ever become one. It's a Fortify.
Oh yeah.
Fortify as a future shifted mechanic.
They reprinted it in Mystery Boosters as a foil, I think. The Fortify enchantment or artifact. Artifact.
It's an artifact that has Fortify land.
Yeah.
And it was.
Doesn't it basically give the land totem armor?
It's an equipment for a land instead of a creature, and I believe that Darksteel Garrison.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's an example. No, Darksteel Garrison is an artifact that says fortified land has indestructible. Whenever fortified land becomes tapped, target creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Fortify for 3, so it's equipped for 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone is desiring that to become a mechanic because it just feels like equipment on land.
It would be cool, I guess. I could run an Arden deck with it and do some funky
things.
You
absolutely could. Yeah. All right, the next one is a modal double face card with the same card type on both sides that has not been printed before.
So not necessarily a land.
Not necessarily land. It could be a creature. Maybe it's got 2 different versions of that creature.
Mm-hmm.
Or just 2 different spells, perhaps.
Yeah. It could be instant sorcery Planeswalker. Maybe it's it's Will and Kenrith, but you only get one of them. Will or Kenrith. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool.
Okay, how about a card sharing something never shared before?
I hope it's split second and buyback.
It shares split second and buyback? That'd be crazy.
It would be, and I hope it's in Modern Horizons too, but we're talking Strixhaven. I can only hope. No, I don't know. I don't know what a card has not shared. I assume it's related to mechanics or something.
Yeah, I have no idea.
No idea. No guesses even. Because I mean...
We don't even know where to begin.
No. A cycle of enemy dual lands, finishing off a cycle of 10 cards. This one, I think, could be related to the Battle for Zendikar lands.
Yeah, it's either that or the cycle lands, I think, and it makes a lot more sense to be the Battle for Zendikar lands.
No, doesn't it make more sense to be cycling? Because it's in standard with Ikoria.
I guess... But I guess the
I wouldn't be upset if I got either, I'll be honest.
I'd much rather have the Zendikar lands.
Well, you can tutor for them.
You can tutor for the cycling lands as well.
Oh no, I guess you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be the cycling lands.
Yeah.
Because of what's in standard.
I hope it's not. Because they haven't been around as long as the Zendikar lands, and they need to finish that cycle. They should finish both cycles, to be fair. I would like them to finish both cycles, but... Maybe it's a cycle that we haven't even... those are the only 2 possibilities, though, right? I can't think of anything else.
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. So it's one of those. Put it on the board.
Put it up on the... All right.
On the board.
There's a bulletin board.
That's the board. You can't see us doing it, so you have to take our word for it. We put it on the bulletin board. Okay. So we also have some snippets from some rules texts, and we'll just kind of go through that pretty quickly. So search your library and graveyard for up to 4 creature cards with different names is on the card. It's on the rules text.
Yeah, I like that. There's another one that says, otherwise, put a study counter on it.
All right.
I mean, we're in college. We're studying.
You got to study.
Got to study.
Whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger. I think this is probably going to be attached to a hate bear, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, whenever the triggered ability triggers, like the controller loses 2 life or something.
It doesn't trigger. It doesn't trigger. The next one is untap each creature you control, then tap any number of creatures you control.
Yeah.
I like that. That feels very combat based. Like untap any number, all your creatures, then tap any number, and
be like, for each untapped creature you control, those creatures get +X/+X, where X is the number of tapped creatures you control.
Exactly. That seems fun.
I like this next one a lot. Pay 10 life.
And I like the next one after that. Repeat this process 6 more times.
That one we know. That's the ultimate on the new Liliana.
All right.
The next one we have pests, bats, insects, snakes, and spiders.
Oh my.
Probably something for Orvar.
Absolutely. The next one is each mode must target a different player. We've seen something similar, or choose a mode that you haven't chosen before. Like that.
Whenever an opponent activates an ability that isn't a mana ability,
they lose life.
That one already exists.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Where X is the number of cards in your library.
Ooh. Draw X, please.
Yeah, draw X, where X is the number of cards in your library.
1 mana instant.
No, it costs like 18. It's our most expensive spell to date.
And finally, we have some fun creature types. We have Turtle Druid,
a Bird Warlock,
Frog Wizard,
Spirit Dwarf,
a Troll Druid,
an Eye Bat. We're getting another Eye.
That's new from Apple. Eye Bat. Yeah.
Yep.
And then we have some legendary creatures. We have a Vampire Warlock,
an Orc Shaman,
a Dryad Druid,
and a Construct.
That's right. We have a new legendary artifact creature Construct.
Yes. So we will get some of these answers to these clues starting this Thursday.
Yep. Now,
March 25th.
There was also a Good Morning Magic episode with Gavin Verhey on Monday, March 22nd, where he went over some artwork for 3 of the 5 commanders for the new Commander Strixhaven deck. So these are going to be professors from each school are going to be the face commanders for each deck.
The Prismari is a band director, and
Yes.
I'm very excited. It's the conductor.
Yeah, that's Zephi. A wizard conductor for the Prismari. Ozgur is the Boros, or the Lorehold instructor, and he apparently has some sort of duplicative power. And Gavin Verhey did say that he's going to take Boros in a direction that is less, swingy. So that seemed cool. And then Willow Dusk is a Dryad, and that is the Witherbloom deck. And so that'll be cool. She seems like kind of a Dryad. She's part of the forest, and some students came out and were amongst her roots or whatever, and she protected them and saved them and took them back to school.
But at the time, I don't believe that she was a teacher. And
No, she
would you like
wasn't.
to be a teacher now?
Yeah. So, sure. Why not?
All right, I guess.
Yeah. So those are pretty cool. And then you can check out the 2 commanders from Quandrix and Silverquill. I believe he said on Thursday he was going to announce those 2, or at least show the artwork for them.
Yeah, later this week. Okay, and then one final thing that I did confirm this past week. So the card In Search of Greatness, just don't like it.
Yeah, in Commander.
It doesn't matter wherever it is. I do not enjoy it. It's an enchantment for 2 green that it allows you to scry at your upkeep, but it says at the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a permanent spell from your hand with CMC equal to 1 plus the highest converted mana cost among other permanents you control without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, scry 1. I've cast this card 3 times now in multiple games, and it has done nothing other than the scry 1, and it's just not worth a 2-drop slot. I cannot. Maybe it's just not for Finn, but there's other folks that when I tweeted about it, they were like, can confirm, also tried, just not worth it.
Yeah.
So I tried 3 strikes, and In Search of Greatness is out.
You just replace it with a Sylvan library. It's fine. Just
I don't have
just
just
put
a
up the money.
convenient Sylvan library.
Just put up the money and go buy a random pack of Eternal Masters. Guarantee you're going to pull a Sylvan library out of it. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Put it on the board.
But if you'd like to go see me play Finn without playing In Search of Greatness, you can check that out on our YouTube channel. And if you support us or would like to support us, you can head to patreon.com/guardianprojectpod and donate for any dollar amount. We've got lots of fun rewards and want to send you stuff.
Yeah, and if you're looking for another way to support the podcast, wherever you're listening to the podcast now on, whether it's Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcasts, we'd really appreciate it if you give us a follow or subscribe. If you give us a like, leave us a comment, anything that we can do to make the podcast better for you. You are our listeners. You're our bread and butter, our subscribers, and we love you. Please tell us how to do this better.
That was weird.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
I know I said it first. They have to say it back now. I put them in an awkward situation.
They're also
our
bread
listeners.
and butter, so apparently we're just going to eat them. Sourdough.
Toast it first.
No. What are we talking about this week?
I don't know. I'm just taken aback. The fact that you just scoffed at toast. This week, we're going to talk about, now that we are kind of distanced from the release of Commander Legends, we're going to talk about the least popular and most popular monocolored partners that Commander Legends have given us, according to EDA Track.
Yes. So do you want to partner up to work on this?
Let's all go down and square dance.
I was more thinking school.
Oh, like in science?
Strixhaven. No, like when your teacher would be like, all right, find a partner. And you're like, wow, cool, partner work.
Yeah.
This is fun.
And then you have a very tight-knit group of 3 friends and one of them's going to get left out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sucks to be that guy.
That is unfortunate for that guy. I was not prepared for that in the slightest.
Oh, that was great.
And so that's that. So we're talking about the most and least popular partner pairings from Commander Legends. Commanders, you represent the tops and bottoms of the week.
It's true.
That's it.
The tops and the bottoms.
Prior to tonight, you were asked to prepare a lip sync to Poisoned by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Now lip sync like your life depends on it.
And don't F it up.
Don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. The first, I guess the lowest rated partner. Okay, right? So this is the least amount built.
And is this the real least amount built or the least amount built? Like, is this number 41 or is this number 40?
This is Radiant Sarah Archangel.
Number 40. Got it.
Which one's 41?
Prismatic Piper.
Oh, true. All right. So you could there is a qualifier here. So Prismatic Piper is not actually being considered.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Prismatic Piper is without a doubt worse than any other monocolor commander you can run. So if you want to add a color, go find a commander of that color. Don't run Prismatic Piper. It's meant for draft. And you should instead run Radiant Sarah Archangel to add white to your deck instead of a Chromatic Piper.
Sure. So Radiant Sarah Archangel, 6 and a white, 7 total mana for a 6/4 flyer that says tap another untapped creature you control with flying. Radiant Sarah Archangel gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn with partner. So, I mean, it really only goes in flying decks. It only makes sense.
Unless you go like hard into the angel theme, I guess. If you want to do like with a chroma or something and just do mono white angels. You
could. It's most built with Sinai.
Yeah.
Eye of the Storm. There's 12 versions of that. So Sinai is when you attack with flying creatures, I guess when you attack with that commander, you scry X, where X is the number of attacking creatures with flying. So I think these two commanders are probably just built for the limited draft environment and not necessarily for an actual commander deck.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a way that you could make this worthwhile, and you know, the whole protection from any color that you want is feeding into more of a Voltron kind of strategy. But if you did a bunch of flying creatures with vigilance type anthems so that everything can swing and you can give protection to Radiant. Maybe that's something that you want to do, but I think there's just much better ways to do that kind of thing, and it's probably why Radiant isn't played very much.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All right, so the next one we have on the list, number 39, is Alharu Solem Ritualist. So this is a 5 CMC, so 4 and a white. You get a 3/3 human monk that says when Alharu Solem Ritualist enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other target creatures. Whenever a non-token creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying.
Yeah. So this, it seems really fun, and Alharu seems very interesting. I think there's just a lot that you have to.
Yeah.
The pieces have to align, and this falls into that trap category that I think Nakara and Yannick that I play fall into, with just, when it happens, you can put counters on other creatures, which means you have to have other creatures for Alharu to do anything. And then when another non-token creature you control dies, if it doesn't have a counter on it, it doesn't do anything. So it needs to have a counter on it, it needs to die. There's too much going on in my opinion, for this to be relevant.
I totally agree. I think this could be used as more of a support card than anything else. You're probably not going to build the deck around this around Alharu. You're going to build your deck around your other partner commander and use Alharu as a supporter. So you see Rayhan, Last of the Abzan, as the number 1 partner that it's built with Slurk All Ingesting as the number 1 monocolor commander from Commander Legends. And those creatures are going to inherently put +1/+1 counters on your creatures.
Right. So Alharu is not in the top list. That is the second mono white partner that we saw.
So the bottom 2 are both mono white.
But let's move into blue here with Lynn the Moon Kraken. So Lynn is a 6/8 Kraken for 6 blue. So 8 mana. It says when Lynn the Moon Kraken enters the battlefield, or whenever you cast a spell with converted mana cost 6 or greater, you can return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. I like it, what it does. I think if it costs way less than 8, it might be relevant.
Yeah, and if you look at the partner pairings and stuff, it's mostly trying to partner up with a green creature, and there's probably much better ways to do Simic big stuff. One thing that maybe people are a little bit overlooking is Lynn's text about being able to bounce things. It's every time Lynn enters the battlefield or you cast the spell with 6 CMC or greater. So you could make this into a bounce deck and just bounce Lynn back and forth. You don't have to cast Lynn in order to get that bounce feature. So maybe there's a way with Lynn and Kodama seem to be a good partner combination where you can turn it into bounce and take advantage of both of their enter the battlefield triggers.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a Lynn deck and a Galanra deck, which is who this is most commonly paired with, Galanra, Caller of the Wirewood. It's just a little slow for most pods and falls, I think, solidly into the very casual category just because of the CMC. I mean, you could likely just pack it full of stuff and just make it that commander. I mean, I've seen a lot of people that say, I play insert 3-color partner or commander from Legends and it does nothing,
right? And
they're just playing it to say that there's one of those decks. I feel like Lynn sometimes falls just into that category, like, oh, well, I play a Lynn deck, but you're not running, it's not 6 CMC or greater tribal. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but maybe it's something you're going to throw in your 99 for your sea monsters deck or whatever.
Absolutely, it fits perfectly there.
Yeah, if only you had a green sea monster you could partner it with. All right, so the next one here, number 37 in the list, is Glacian Power Stone Engineer.
Not to be confused with Glaceon, the wonderful Eevee evolution.
Yes, the Ice Eevee evolution, right?
Yes.
Yeah, see, I didn't play that far.
Oh, that's true.
I know it exists, but Espeon and Umbreon were the last 2 evolutions I saw, which were amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Vaporeon's the best, but Espeon's pretty great too.
Ooh, we should probably move on and talk about that. So Glacian Power Stone Engineer is a 6 CMC human artificer, so 5 in a blue. You get a 3/6 that says you can tap it and then tap X untapped artifacts you control to look at the top X cards of your library. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So I think the biggest drawback of this card is the fact that it costs 6 mana.
I agree. I think this would be a really fun card if it just costs a little less. Honestly, in the bottom group, though, this is probably my favorite of all of them. I like what it can do. I like the ability. Tapping artifacts is absolutely relevant. I mean, sometimes there's stacks versions of cards. There's artifacts that benefit you and or remove benefits when they're tapped and untapped.
Yep, like Winter Orb and Howling Mine come to mind. So yeah, maybe there's something you could take advantage of that. But the fact that you have to tap this guy, so when you cast him for 6, you can't activate him right away. You have to wait until your next upkeep to activate him. And I just don't know if I love getting, I don't think the amount of benefit is worth it. The partner that is most played with is Togo, which makes sense because Togo can make a lot of rocks. It is interesting to see an Is It deck that cares about landfall to make rocks that you can tap to find other pieces. It's an interesting deck.
Listen, I play a Boros deck with Togo, and I'm caring
for sure
landfall, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and I'd be interested to see it, but like Andy said, the activation cost of this, maybe this is a good necrotic ooze. Creature or something.
I feel like Glacian's one of those where you build a high power or a CEDH deck, and this is just simply there for one specific interaction. It's like if you get it, it's like crowd. It's a crowd pleaser, right? The showstopper. I'm not ruling this one out yet. I feel like there's something. It might just be the one that's just it hasn't been looked at because it costs 6.
Yeah, if you have 100 artifacts out, you get to search your library for any card you want, put it in your hand.
There you go.
Now you just have to get 100 artifacts out on the battlefield first.
Exactly.
Good luck.
Exactly. All right. And then the last commander we're going to talk about in this category is Anara, Wolvid Familiar. So this is a 4/4 wolf beast for 3 and a green. As long as it's your turn, commanders you control have indestructible and it has partner. I think it's a fine card. It's solid. If you're playing a Voltron strategy and you wanted to add green, go for it. You give your commanders indestructible at least on your turn. It's nothing to write home about, which I think it might just be that issue.
Yeah. When you look at the partner commanders, it's about, creatures that swing, or Arden, who's going to care about auras, Falthus, who's going to care about your commander damage, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it has to be played.
Number one is Bruce Tarl and then Rograk. So it's definitely in decks that are swinging.
It's probably better as a draft commander. It's probably really good as a draft commander.
Probably is
honestly.
Really fantastic in draft.
Yeah. But if you need to add green to a deck, it's solid.
Yep. So as soon as we get to draft Commander Legends in hopefully a couple of months here, we might be able to
sooner than later.
All
right. So we just finished up the 5 lowest ranked Commander Legends. Just want to give a
the build.
Yeah. I just wanted to give a quick shout out since we didn't mention any black creatures or red creatures. We have Falthus Shadowcat at number 34 and Alana Kessig Trapper at number 24. So way up there, actually. I think people are adding red as a color to their other partner a lot more often than they are other colors. And that's maybe why Elena is seeing higher build like that. But also Elena is being built with Halana a lot. Like there's like 35 decks or something. That actually does decks.
Seem like a fun deck. Like if we were to do a commander stream night of like we had talked about partner commanders that are like in the lowest of the builds, I would 100% build Halana and Alana.
Yeah.
Or Elena.
Alina and Halana. Halana and Alina. Alina and Helena. Halana and Alana.
Now let's talk about the commanders that have been built the most from Commander Legends, these new monocolored partners.
This is fun.
Let's start with the one. Do you want to start with number 5? Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. So let's start with one that I actually play. This is Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator, a Siren Pirate, 2/2 flyer for 2 and a blue. That says whenever one or more pirates you control deals damage to your opponents, you create a treasure token for each opponent dealt a damage. So this is most commonly paired with breaches, but number 2 is Vial Smasher the Fierce, which is what I paired it with to build a CEDH deck. I think a lot of people weren't playing breaches because you're playing VEDH, virtual EDH. However, the number of times that I've run into a Tali now, and it's really not that big of a deal anymore because I think folks have just figured out how to do the virtual thing. And now that everybody has I think a lot of people have found paper or dry erase tokens by Infinite Tokens, which we fully support, or you have any other sort of dry erase, material. It's really negated the downside. Yeah. So I think I should throw Malcolm and Breaches together to play because I've already got a big core of the deck built.
Yeah.
So Malcolm is coming in here with quite a few decks though. So built about 758 of them are listed on EDH Rex. That's a lot of decks.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, it saw a big boom with the infinite combo in CDH that goes off with Glinthorn Buccaneer.
Oh, I love doing it.
Amazing pirate commander. I played in the 99 of my Changelings tribal deck.
Oh yeah.
I honestly think that this is a really good contender. If you just want to add blue to your deck, we're going to talk about, spoiler, there's another blue creature on this list.
Oh.
If you just want to add blue to your deck, I think this should be actually a much stronger than consideration than people think, because it'll give you free mana.
Yes.
And it's a flyer. And, I know I've seen you throw Curiosity on Malcolm every once in a while just to get some good card draw and treasures. So why not?
Why not?
All right. So number 4 on the list is actually a card that I love. I love.
You have
this
2
commander.
decks with this commander, right?
I do, and I just want to build another one. So this is Arden, Intrepid Archaeologist. This is a 3 mana core scout. So for 2 and a white, you get a 2/2. This says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to target permanent or player. So this is typically being run in like a Voltron style deck with a lot of auras and equipments, with Rogrock being the number 1 partnered card with Arden. But there's a lot more ways that you can actually build this. So as Andy mentioned, I have 2 decks that neither of them really run a Voltron strategy. One of them is a Curses deck. Because Arden says you can attach these auras to any target permanent or player. So moving things like Imprisoned in the Moon from one creature to another to kind of answer different things that are happening on the board.
That was great. I mean, if you check out some of our YouTube videos that have that deck listed, I mean, Coyle he's moved things around quite a bit.
Yeah. It is a Karuga deck too, so everything is 3 CMC or higher, which makes it a little bit harder, but it's a lot more fun.
I mean, I appreciate being able to get in for a couple swings early before all my stuff starts getting controlled. So,
But then I also recently built a deck that focused around land auras. So again, it's any type of aura. It's not just equipment. It's not just a Voltron deck. I think this particular commander is going to expand the more cards come out and the more auras come out. So I'm excited to see how people do with this particular commander.
The new deck that you built is Arden and who again? Kodama?
Arden and Kodama, so that I can get these auras down and get free other auras, and big creatures become other big creatures, auras become lands, and there's a lot of Kodama is ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's 769 of those Arden decks that are currently built. But moving on to the next is actually Kodama, the East Tree.
Hey, have I ever mentioned that Kodama is ridiculous?
Did we mention Kodama's pretty good with as of recording about 942 decks. So Kodama, the East Tree is a 6/6 with reach. It's a legendary spirit for 4 green, 6 mana total for a 6/6 that says whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, if it was not put onto the battlefield with this ability, you can put a permanent with equal or lesser converted mana cost from your hand onto the battlefield. So this card, I think a lot of popularity came from not only being on the first version of the first episode of Game Nights, right? Because we saw a Togo and Kodama deck, but I have seen Kodama Sakashima. I have seen Kodama and Arden. Pair Kodama with something, and I've actually seen the mono green Kodama and the new mono green Kamal. And just putting a bunch of just big stuff onto the battlefield and just swinging.
Yeah.
And then if you pair it up with something that you can utilize the Keru lands from Ravnica, where you can bounce lands back and forth. If you've got landfall triggers, go to town.
Well, actually, you can just do it with a bounce land itself with Kodama.
I mean, I guess that's true.
Yeah, in case you do have infinite ETBs or something that you can take advantage of your lands.
It's not like there's no, I guess if you're playing a landfall deck.
With green, who'd have thunk? No, but I really like Kodama. I mean, it's just a straight value engine on 6 mana, and you don't know how many times that reach keyword on that card has come in handy.
Too many times.
Is way too many times. But I do believe that on this list, I think honestly, looking at the rest of this list, I think this is the only commander that I would definitely put on the kill on sight list. Absolutely has to die right away.
I did that the other night. Felt pretty good because
Yeah.
the deck didn't run away with it. No, so the top 3 partners with Kodama are Togo, Sakashima, and then Timna the Weaver.
Yes.
So if you want to just go with some value and play some Abzan, go that route. But I do like this deck. But there's a lot. 206 with Togo, just shy of 200 with Timna, and then just shy of 100. With Sakashima, and then just shy of 100 with Timna. So.
Yeah. Interesting interaction with Sakashima too, because when you copy Kodama, when you bring one permanent in with one Kodama's ability, it's not bringing it in with the other Kodama's ability, and actually just goes back and forth. Technically for infinite, as long as you have your entire library in your hand.
Yep.
So there's that. Number 2 on our list after Kodama, we have Rogrok, Son of Roga. So this is a 0 CMC red Kobold Warrior 0/1 with First Strike, Menace, and Trample. And that's it.
That's it. Moving on to the next commander.
Next command. Now this particular commander is used mostly in Voltron strategies because it has so many keywords on it already. You just pump them up and swing. Played mostly with Arden, Intrepid, Archaeologist. Which I think is so interesting because that is not the one I've lost to. I've lost to Rogrok and Kelith, the one that the horse that puts +1/+1 counters on them. Okay.
And I've lost to your version that has Jessica in it, which is a more competitive deck, obviously.
For sure. And that's actually where the second partner is going to come in. The Silas Wren Seeker Adept is based around more of the Cloudstone Curio combo that you can do with Rogrok. So Cloudstone Curio, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may return another creature that shares a creature type with it from your battlefield to your hand. So with 3 of the other kobolds that they've printed that are 0 CMC, you can actually do infinite cast triggers and enter the battlefield triggers. And Silas Wren is there to make sure your Cloudstone Curio stays on the battlefield. But Arden is a much more popular one. People really digging those aura and equipment strategies, being able to equip everything for free, get that free Colossus Hammer on your Rogrok and go to town.
Yeah, and there's just over 1,300 Rogrok decks out there. So this one I see a couple times a month.
If you have never experienced Tevish Zodding your own Rogrok, or how about this one, skull clamping your own Rogrok, you got to do it. It is so nice.
That I have not done. I guess I got to try it out.
Got to
try it out. So moving on to the number 1 monocolored partner.
Number one
in the best color is Sakashima of 1,000, or just of 1,000 faces. I like 1,000, but it's of 1,000 faces. So a 3/1 human rogue for 3 and a blue that says you may have Sakashima of 1,000 faces enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except Sakashima of 1,000 faces. Except it has Sakashima of 1,000 faces other abilities, and the legend rule does not apply to permanents you control. So, do you want 2 of your commander?
Yeah, because you can have 2 of your commander.
Yeah, I run this in Niambi because it's a legendary creature matters deck. So Sakashima just becomes the other legendary that a second of the legendary I need, or I guess a Niambi if I really need it to be.
Sure, why not?
And then as an actual partner deck, it is most commonly paired with Krark the Thumbless, which we have lost to
many times.
Yeah, I love it. And I think so many people underestimated Sakashima Krark as an actual CEDH deck, and it's no joke.
No,
it's real. Go check out Stacked EDH's primer on it and all of their work on that deck. It is fantastic. I love it.
Had I not been playing Jessica and could kill 3 Krarks at a time, that was literally the only reason we didn't lose every single game to Krark and Sakashima.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jessica, for saving our lives.
We can see the number 2 built deck here is Vial Smasher the Fierce, so probably something a little bit more competitive. I don't know if people are really doing the I want 2 Vial Smashers so I can double hit people. Maybe they are.
It's entirely possible.
You could definitely play a casual Vial Smasher in Sakashima deck. I'm not saying
it is
can't.
Grixis, just a casual Grixis deck.
Yeah, Grixis. It's so strong.
It is very strong. And then third is Timid the Weaver as your partner. There's just over 200 of those. So there is a ton of Sakashima decks running around. I was very lucky to open up an etched foil Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. So that is kind of a really expensive card.
It is extremely.
They're just... And I wish I had gone much heavier into those etch foils because I just like them and I don't want to have to move things around.
Right.
So I'm using one regular Sakashima.
Yeah.
In a deck.
See, I was doing that with an Arden and a Nadir, and then I just went to the store. It's a lot different though because I had to pay $10 for those 2 etched foils, where an etched foil Sakashima is what, like over $100 or close to $100?
Is it that high?
It's not $1,000.
SAK.
You don't have to pay $1 for every face, at least.
Sakashima. SAKA.
SHIMA of 1,000 Faces.
Of 1,000 Faces.
This Googling moment is brought to you by the Guardian Project podcast.
Let's see. Well, that's not showing. Oh, because the etch foils is different, right? You have to search for them differently.
Yeah, they are their own listing.
Okay. Keep vamping.
Okay, so it's actually I do think it's very interesting to see that it's kind of spread out with Sakashima in its top list. So 384 Kark decks, 343 Vial Smasher decks, only 40 decks apart from that. You only go down 120 decks for Timna, and then less than 50 decks, or about 50 decks, to go down to the Kodama of the East Tree. So there's 4 different partners that it has over 150 decks with. So making Sakashima a very versatile partner. I mean, you get to add blue and a free clone. Why not?
And it looks like the foil etch version right now is around $45. So it's not that high. It's not a casual, I'm going to go buy a card for $45 though. I mean,
it probably shouldn't be the etch foil version as the commander for my zombie deck right now. I should probably just go get a regular version of it. Sell the etch foil. Get a couple dollars.
But it's foil.
I need to buy a hamburger for lunch tomorrow.
Okay.
Remember, etched foils, not as important as eating your lunch tomorrow. Not as important as hamburgers. Period.
Hamburgers. Title of the episode.
All right. So now that we've talked about the top and bottom commanders, we did want to give another quick little shout out to Tevazad. Tevazad's actually our number 6 commander. It's our highest ranked Planeswalker commander and our highest ranked mono black partner commander. And it's another one of those situations like Sakashima where it just fits so many different roles. It creates its own blockers. It draws cards. It adds black to your commander color identity. And then if you have a way to get it to -10, it's probably going to shut a game down when you can control everyone else's commanders. So why not add it? That's why we see it at number 6, but why we're not going to see it in our next list when we talk about the top partner pairings.
Yeah, so I know we just went over a lot of these when we were talking about our pairings, but we'll go down this list real quick. The first one here, I guess the most built pairing is Rogue Rock, Son of Roga, and Arden, Intrepid Archaeologist. Just under 500 builds.
Yeah, apparently people really do like Boros Voltron, despite what they actually say.
Huh?
The number 2 on here is Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator, and Breaches, Brazen Plunderer for 433 decks. And I thought this was most interesting because there are exactly 9 decks with Breaches as a partner outside of these decks with Malcolm, and all 9 of those decks are with Sakashima of 1,000 Faces.
Yep.
To get double Breaches, apparently. Why not?
Double breach.
Can you put 2 pairs of pants on at the same time? Double breaches.
Double breaches. The next is Sakashima 1,000 Faces and Kark the Thumbless. We talked about that. Just under 400 decks right now.
Yeah. After that, we have Kodama of the East Tree and Togo, Goblin Weaponsmith. Talked about that one already too, thanks to Game Nights.
And then Sakashima of 1,000 Faces and Kodama of the East Tree.
That's right. So being able to get double Kodamas.
Sakashima appears in 3 of the 5 and as a shout out with Breaches.
That's right. Shout out Breaches. But it shows that Sakashima, although not the number 1 or number 2 as part of the number of decks. So Sakashima being pretty versatile, but still so popular that it does still appear in the other 3.
Absolutely. That is it. That is it for the episode this week.
Yeah.
We would love to hear if you have built any of these commander decks that are in the list of the least built. You know, did you crack the code? Are you working on a build that no one else knows?
Yeah, tell us why everyone else is wrong and why you're right about building these bottom 5 commanders.
Honestly, I really like seeing the versions where someone goes, well, this is just my Glacian deck. And you go, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. It could just be that, you know, when the collective group or the collective community doesn't work to look at something, it gets passed on by.
You know, I did see something when we were looking at this I thought was very interesting, and that's Falthus Shadowcat giving your other commander Death Touch and Menace, partnered with Jeska, the Planeswalker, giving her ability where she minus to do damage to up to 3 different targets, creatures or players. All of that damage now has Death Touch. So I thought that was a pretty interesting combination. I've never seen it before.
Falthus and what?
Falthus and Jeska.
Oh.
I mean, it's Rakdos, so you have to support it some other way. I'm sure you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's also that one spell that gives instants and sorceries you control Death Touch, right? From Ravnica Allegiant. Is it Death Touch? It's like a spirit of some sort.
Maybe. See, now I got the next list. Falthus and Jeska.
Do you have a Rakdos deck?
Not currently. It was the first. Rakdos was the first commander deck that I built on my own. It was Mogus, God of Slaughter.
Oh, that's true.
So might as well bring it full.
We're coming
full 360.
Full 3 years 60.
3 years 60.
3 years.
Maybe
60?
we'll do it for episode 100 or something.
Falthus and Jeska.
Falthus and Jeska. Maybe we'll just be ready for episode 100.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you all for listening this week. If you want to contact us, you can find our podcast online at theguardianprojectpodcast.com. You can find our social media on Twitter at GuardianPod and our gameplay videos on YouTube at youtube.com/theguardianproject. Or you can email us at guardianprojectpod@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at ATFlory.
And I'm on Twitter at WormCoilEngine. And of course, we want to give a special shout out and a special thanks to Ryan Nichols, our producer and editor, AO. And of course, Chris Wolf, who handles all of our graphic design, AO. Thank you to both of you.
Oh.
No, that's a bad thing, isn't it?
No, that was Beyonce.
All the single ladies?
Yeah.
To the Kirby theme?
I mean, yep. Yep. That's it for this episode of The Guardian Project. We'll be back next week with episode 94. Bye.
Bye.